Okay, I'm going to show you guys how to set up a PCA pump for simulation lab. We previously already got the PCA syringe out of the Pyxis and the PCA keys out of Pyxis. I also need PCA tubing, which is specialized. It's not regular IV tubing, and it comes with this syringe. So the first thing that I'm going to do is take my syringe. I'm going to pop off the yellow end, the big yellow round end. It screws into the bottom of my patient syringe, and so it just makes one big giant one. Now the tubing, I'm going to show you the two ends. There is an end that has a Y to it. This goes to the patient. The one that is a single goes to my PCA syringe. So the first thing that I'm going to do is, you see on this Y part, when I prime the tubing, it's going to prime the main tubing. It's not going to prime this little section of tubing. So personally, I am going to flush that with saline. Now you need to follow whatever your hospital policy is, but I do like to just prime that section with tubing so I'm not wasting any of my morphine later on. So I'm just going to prime that little section of tubing with saline. I'm going to clamp it off. I'm going to take that back off. Now this little cap, I set it up so that it didn't get contaminated, so I'm going to put it back on. Okay, now I'm ready to prime the rest of my tubing. There is two different ways to prime this. You can let the machine prime it for you, or you can prime it manually. I'm going to show you how to prime it manually. So now I've got this yellow cap that comes off, and I take this white cap off. I hook these two together. This is the part that goes to my patient. So now I can just manually push this syringe until I get fluid running out of it. So push it and watch your tubing get primed until you might have to take the end of it off. Now you see I've got, so I want to get the bubbles out. You don't want to be wasting this morphine. In fact, in your hospital, you're going to have a witness to do this, because if you end up wasting any, you need to have a witness that co-signs for you. Okay, now I'm ready to go to my pump. I've got my tubing all primed. You also need your PCA order set, and two nurses need to calculate the dosages of how you're going to do the PCA setting. So again, follow your hospital policy and how that's ordered. Okay, here is the pump. I need the key. The pump is locked, so you have to put it in the side so that you can open the door. So it's going to pop the door open. Now this is where you're going to put the syringe in. If it's down like this, you need to put it to the top. And the syringe is going to go like this. Put it where you can read the label. It pops in. So it goes straight back. And then you squeeze the top and pull it down till it clicks. That's just engaging the syringe. Now the pump itself is going to go through a self-test, so that takes it just a second, but you're just going to follow the prompts that are on the screen up here. So it tells you clear history and RX, yes or no. I'm going to say yes, because it's going to clearing that last patient. So here's the yes button, so I want to clear that. Confirm to clear history and RX, yes or no. Yes, I want to clear the system. Okay, now this is very important. It says purge the system now, yes or no. If I was going to let the pump prime it, I would say yes, and I would have to push and hold the yes button. But since I manually primed it, I'm going to say no, I do not want to purge the system. So I'm clicking no. It asks me, okay, the drug, is it morphine, 1 milligram per mil, yes or no? So I look at my syringe, and I've got morphine sulfate, 1 milligram per mil. So I say yes. Do I want to administer a loading dose now, yes or no? So that's, I need to look at my orders, and I do have an order for a loading dose. So if I'm going to give a loading dose, then I need to connect this to my patient. So I am going to connect that to my patient. So I'm going to say yes, I want to administer a loading dose. So it asks me, how many milligrams? So the two nurses have calculated, and my calculation is I need to give my patient 2.4 milligrams. So I'm going to, there's an up and down arrow. I'm going to push and hold it till I get to 2.4, and I'm going to enter. So it says loading dose to infuse 2.4 milligrams, press load dose. So I'm going to press the loading dose, and it's actually going to give my patient the 2.4 milligrams. Now it's going to give it slowly, just like we give morphine slowly. So it's going to do it over a couple of minutes. So while I'm waiting for that to happen, I can look back at my orders, double check my calculations while I'm waiting for that to happen. So, and it'll count down. So right now we've given our patient 0.6 milligrams of morphine. So it's going to just take here a couple of minutes for it to do that. Now we're up to 1 milligram. So it seems like it's really slow, but like I said, remember when we're doing an IV push, we're giving it very slow. The nice thing about it giving a loading dose is, we're using a PCA pump a lot of times post-operatively, and your client may really be in a lot of pain. So, and this takes, several minutes to get set up, so it's nice that they can get the loading dose first while we're doing all the other setup. So we're almost there. Okay, so there it's 2.4. So the loading dose is complete. So I watched to see, now it tells me select mode, PCA only. Okay, the PCA only would be if you only wanted it to deliver a dose when you push the button. Now my particular patient has an order for a continuous dose plus a PCA dose, so I'm going to say no to this. It's not PCA only. Is it continuous only? No, I've got an order for PCA doses and a continuous dose, so I'm going to say no to that. Now it says, is it PCA plus continuous? Yes, that's the one I want. So now it asks me what the dose is. So the PCA dose is going to be whenever they push the button, they get this dose. So on my orders, my PCA dose is 0.6 milligrams. And I've double checked that with another nurse. So I put in 0.6. So every time the patient clicks the button, they're going to get 0.6 milligrams. So I'm going to enter that. Then it asks what the lockout interval is. So a lockout interval is ordered. I have a lockout interval of 15 minutes. So I'm going to press the button until it gets to 15. And so what that means is the patient can push the button as many times as they want, but they're only going to get a dose every 15 minutes. It's going to time off of the last dose. So I'm going to enter that. Now it's asking me what the continuous rate is. Back in my orders, my continuous rate is 0.5 milligrams per hour. So I'm going to put in 0.5, enter that. It asks me, is there a 4-hour dose limit set? Yes, I have an order for a 4-hour dose limit set. My dose limit set is 8.4 milligrams. So I'm going to put in 8.4. So what this means is in a 4-hour amount of time, the continuous plus the PCA doses cannot go over 8.4 milligrams in a 4-hour time period. So these are just kind of safety things to keep the patient from getting overdosed. I'm going to press enter. So now it tells me PCA plus continuous is the setting. To confirm, press history, then lock the door. So I'm going to find the button that says history. I'm going to press that. I'm going to close. I'm going to lock the door, take the key out, and then it tells me I need to press the start button. So now I press the start button. The key goes back into the Pyxis. You do not leave it in the room. After that, I need to get the button. I need to teach my patient and the family about the button, that the patient is the one who's supposed to push the button, and then I'll be done and I can do my documentation.